Here we go again. I've got a brand new topic to talk about with you, and this is probably the toughest topic we will talk about the whole semester. So I want to go on. I've got on a bright colored shirt. I've got my flowers on my picture behind me, and I want you to get a grasp of this. So I'm going to try to introduce it to you here, and I've got lecture notes posted on Blackboard. And between that, the book, and coming to class, which you'll do quite a bit, then we'll try to see if we can grasp it. This is called the allowance method for accounting for bad debts expense. And it goes along with accounts receivable. When we do something for someone, let's say we have my firm, SK Consulting Revenue. When I sell to a lot, when I go out, I don't, I go ahead and take receivables as I do service revenue. And we know that entry, debit accounts receivable and credit service revenue. That's because I have done the work. And I have an asset because my clients have agreed to pay me. Sometimes I might do some work for someone and not know that they really might not pay me, and they may not know that. But something might happen later on and they won't pay me. In that case, then I would have to write them off and get rid of them because I'll never get that money. To prevent a bad thing happening and not being in compliance with GAAP accounting, which we know that is the end of the world, right? We have got to be in compliance with GAAP accounting. We want to take a little bit of expense as we go along, as we sell things, so that there are no big surprises. And the big surprises part is a concept called conservatism. So between matching and conservatism, we're going to handle this topic. Are you ready? Let's start it. And we'll break this up into some smaller videos. Okay. So we have accounts receivable, and we're going to establish an allowance method. So our basic entry when we sell something is to debit accounts receivable, and credit revenue. And I have a big why here. Like, why do you sell on credit? Now, all you business-minded people know that you sell on credit to get more revenue. That way, you have people that will buy on credit. So we've done that, and we've taken some chance with some of those people, and maybe they're not going to pay. But we don't know that at the time. Then, when we collect, we can see that we've got the entry for collection, and you've done this entry many times. Debit cash and credit accounts receivable. So our accounts receivable general ledger account looks like, let's just say we had $1,000 we sold an account. When we sold it on account, we debited accounts receivable, and then when we collected, we credited accounts receivable. So our accounts receivable is now worth $600. And that's okay. We're going to get it next month. Let's see what happens next. I'm going to keep trying to collect that from all our different clients, and let's just say that's several clients. It's not just one. Will we get all of the receivables? I say probably not. We need to have a reserve or an allowance to just sort of handle something just in case, like a contingency, just in case. And I have a little piggy bank that I give out in class, not a real piggy bank, but a piggy bank picture. I didn't draw it. You'd be surprised. I could almost draw that well. And we're going to establish a little bit ahead of time so that we can have some in our piggy bank in case things go bad. And we have that client that doesn't pay us. So we've got accounts receivable of $600. I don't know if you can see that. I've got my easel now set up a little bit better than I did before. And what we're going to do for matching and conservatism, which I just talked about, we're going to try to think of an estimate of how much of that $600 might not be collectible. We don't know who that is. We don't know. We know the people that are in that 600. That's a subsidiary ledger. It has Jim for 100 and Susie for 20 and all the different people that make up that 600. But we don't really know how many people will not pay us. But we may have a kind of a guess. Now, this is a brand new company, and our buddies have told us that the running rate or the estimate for people that we won't collect from is about 8%. So I'm going to use that 8% to help me figure out my allowance account. Now I'm setting up a brand new account. It's called the allowance. And it's going to be a weird kind of thing, but it's going to go with accounts receivable. So 8% of the $600 would be $48. I don't know that that's going to be what I don't collect, but that's a good guess. So I'm going to put $48 in that account, just like I would in a piggy bank, just for a rainy day, just in case I need it. Is that making sense so far? Kind of strange, huh? So let me try the next slide. So to set up the allowance, and I've given you a sheet in class that says these are the entries that you need to learn, just like I did for the HAEs. And I don't know if that helped you or not, but I think if you've got them on a piece of paper until you learn them, that might help. So I've got my accounts receivable over here at $600, and I want my allowance to be $48. That is going to be an account that's going to be right next to accounts receivable, but instead of having the debit balance, it's going to have a credit balance. Have we seen anything like that before? Something that tags along with an asset, but has a different balance, not a debit balance? Right. Accumulated depreciation does, doesn't it? This is a contra asset. Again, here it is. Again, a contra asset. So to set up the allowance account, we want to put bad debt expense for $48, and that's going to be going to our income statement for the right period, because we want to be matching, of course. We always want to think about matching, and we're going to set up the allowance for $48 by doing that. That way, on our balance sheet, we have the $600 less the $48 that we expect we won't collect. Remember, we don't know who that is. And here is what we expect we will collect, $552. And that's just more realistic than saying we're going to collect all $600. And that gives us, our readers, a little bit more knowledge of what is really going to come in cash. Is it going to be accurate 100%? No, but it's a better guess than not doing it at all. Okay, you good so far? Let me stop here and see if you understand that, and you can try a problem.